Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the world outside your window is simply gone. No internet, no electricity, no police sirens, no traffic, no morning news, just silence. At first, you assume it is a normal power outage. Maybe the grid will come back online in a few hours. But then you notice your phone has zero signal. The taps start running dry. Stores are locked, then violently broken open. People gather in the streets, confused, angry, and terrified. By sunset, you hear the first screams. Civilization has collapsed, and now you have only one goal: survive the next 100 days. Day 1. Your first mistake would be panic. Most people rush outside looking for answers. They knock on doors, crowd the roads, and waste precious time trying to understand what happened. You do the opposite. You lock the door. You fill every bottle, bucket, and container with water while the pipes still have pressure. You take inventory of your food: rice, flour, canned goods, biscuits, and a few vegetables that will rot in days. It is not much, but it is enough to buy you time. Outside, the neighborhood is fracturing. People who ignored each other for years are now forming anxious groups, whispering and arguing. Day 3. Everyone understands the truth now. Help is not coming. The local shops have been stripped bare. The weak are begging. The desperate are stealing. The violent are becoming brave. Knowing your food will not last forever, you establish a rule: eat small, move quietly, and trust slowly. You realize a terrifying truth: your home is not a fortress, it's just a box with windows. If people discover you have supplies, they will come for them. You make your house look abandoned. You cover the glass, stop using lights, and avoid cooking anything with a strong scent. That night, you hear someone try a door down the street, then another, then yours. The handle jiggles slowly. You freeze. A shadow stands on your porch for what feels like an eternity before the footsteps fade away. That night, you learn the first law of the collapse: the best fight is the one nobody knows you're ready for. Day 7. Your water is critically low. You can survive weeks without food, but only days without water. You must leave your home before sunrise. The streets are unrecognizable. Cars sit abandoned, trash litters the asphalt, smoke rises from a distant fire. You avoid the main roads because crowds mean danger. Moving through back alleys, you stay close to the walls, checking every corner before taking a step. Your target is a nearby elementary school. Schools have water tanks, medical supplies, and sometimes stored food. Inside, the classrooms feel frozen in time. Backpacks still hang on hooks. A half-finished drawing sits on a desk. The old world ended right in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday. You find bottled water in the staff room, bandages, a small flashlight, and batteries. Then you hear voices. 2 men enter the hallway. You slip behind a classroom door, holding your breath. One of them says, "Check every room." Your heartbeat is so loud you're certain they can hear it. They step into the adjacent room, then yours. The door creaks open. You grip a metal ruler, knowing it is entirely useless. But before they enter, a loud crash echoes from the street outside. They sprint toward the sound. You do not wait. You slip through a back window and run until your lungs burn. You return home with water and a new understanding. In this world, supplies matter, but silence matters more. Day 14. Hunger changes people. Not instantly like in the movies, but slowly. People become gaunt, paranoid, and willing to cross lines they once found unthinkable. You begin rationing strictly. 1 small meal a day, 0 waste. You set up plastic sheets to collect rainwater, boiling it whenever possible because waterborne illness will kill you faster than starvation. You also pack a go bag: water, food, a knife, a lighter, a flashlight, and first aid, because eventually your home will no longer be safe. When that moment comes, you will not have time to pack. Day 21. A knock at the door. It's your neighbor, Kareem. You know his face, but you've never truly spoken. He looks exhausted. His wife is sick and they need medicine. You don't know if this is a trap. This is the cruelest part of the collapse. Kindness becomes a liability, but losing your humanity makes you something worse than a survivor. You don't open the door fully. Speaking through a cracked chain, you hand him 2 tablets from your meager supply and tell him it's all you have. He thanks you, his voice breaking. The next morning, you find a small bag of rice on your doorstep with a note, "We help each other, or we all die alone." For the first time in 3 weeks, you feel a spark of hope. Day 30. The city has fractured into invisible territories. You and Kareem begin working together, not as friends yet, but as a unit. He stands guard while you collect water. You watch his back while he scavenges. Together, you make less noise, carry more weight, and sleep a little easier. You establish firm rules. No fires at night, no loud talking, no flashing supplies, no going out after dark. The old world had laws written on paper. This world has laws written in consequences. Day 40. Food is the critical failure point. Canned goods are rare. Rice is dwindling. You find seeds in an abandoned garden center, tomatoes, spinach, beans, and start digging up the hard, dry soil in your hidden backyard. It feels absurd to plant seeds while people are murdering each other over cans of soup. But survival is not just about making it to tonight. It's about believing in tomorrow. Day 50. The raid. It starts with shouting, then the sound of breaking glass down the street. A highly organized group is moving from house to house. They know exactly which homes still have supplies. You and Kareem are prepared. You grab your go bags and slip out the back just as your front door is kicked in. Hiding in a drainage ditch, you watch them tear your sanctuary apart. They smash furniture, rip open cupboards, and drag your mattress to the street. Everything you built is gone in 3 minutes. Kareem says, "Don't move." One raider steps onto the back porch, staring directly towards your ditch. For 10 agonizing seconds, you don't breathe. Finally, someone calls him back. They leave. You survived, but you no longer have a home. Day 60. You leave the city. The urban grid is dying. Too many desperate people, too few resources. You, Kareem, and his wife travel at dawn. The highway out of the city is a graveyard of abandoned cars, doors left open by people who fled in a panic and never came back. You avoid checkpoints, smoke columns, and anyone carrying a weapon with too much confidence. At night, you sleep in a collapsed roadside diner. Kareem's wife coughs in the dark. Every snapping twig feels like a threat. But when you look up for the first time in years, the sky is completely blanketed in stars. You had forgotten how beautiful they were. Day 70. You reach an old farming district. It's sparsely populated but not abandoned. A small group has already claimed the land. You don't approach them directly. Rushing towards strangers is a good way to get shot. Instead, you leave an offering on a fence post, a packet of tomato seeds. The next morning, the seeds are gone, replaced by 2 fresh potatoes. This is how diplomacy works now, not with treaties, but with proof of value. Slowly, the 2 groups integrate. They aren't hardened warriors, they're former accountants, teachers, and mechanics, people who survived just long enough to realize that no one survives alone forever. Day 80. You are now part of a settlement. Everyone has a role. Some guard, some fetch water, some plant, some build. You help rig a rainwater filtration system using metal roofing and plastic barrels. People still sleep lightly, holding on to their weapons. Trust is a luxury, but the shift in the air is undeniable. You are no longer just avoiding death, you are facilitating life. Day 90. The hardest part is no longer the hunger, it's the memory. You miss ice-cold drinks, streaming music, hot showers, and trivial problems. You remember being angry about slow Wi-Fi. Civilization was trust. It was the collective agreement that strangers would not kill you, that water would flow, and that tomorrow would be identical to today. When that trust broke, the world shattered with it. Day 100. You wake before the sun. The settlement is quiet, but it's a peaceful quiet. A low fire crackles in the center of the camp. Someone is boiling water for morning tea. In the distance, a child laughs. You walk to the edge of the crop field and look back toward the horizon where the city used to glow. Your old life is buried in that concrete tomb, but you are still here. You outlasted the panic. You endured the hunger. You survived the people who forgot how to be human. And most importantly, you didn't forget how to be human yourself. The world did not end in a single day. It was dismantled piece by piece, and now it will be rebuilt exactly the same way. One bucket of water, one planted seed, one shared meal, one act of trust. You survived 100 days in the dark, but the real challenge begins now.